So, Mink Slide. More race hustle rhetoric coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense, Logic, and Reason. And as always, thank y'all for joining me today. Now, Mink Slide is an example of historical crime. You know, one of those irrelevant examples of in history in which was basically unfavorable to black people that race hustlers cry about all the time. Well, Columbia was a small town and probably still is a small town in Tennessee. And just like any of those little small towns back in the day, you know, you had the black side of town and the white side of town. Well, the black side of town was called Mink Slide. And again, you know, it was only a few blocks away from the white town. So there was not a whole lot of difference between the black side and the white side, as a distance that is, right? Well, one day, you know, in 1946, a Miss Gladys Stevenson, well, she basically had a radio and she wanted to get it repaired. Now, back then, they didn't have a disposable society like we do today, where, you know, any consumer electronics breakdown, it breaks, you just go out and buy another and just chunk it, you know, just throw it away. Well, back then, stuff was made to last. So it was also a lot more expensive per capita, you know, per income. So people got stuff fixed. And she brought her radio to a shop to get it fixed. And apparently the only place that fixed radios was in the white side of town, because that's where she bought it. Now the clerk, she brought her radio to the clerk, and the clerk had been giving her a runaround about getting her radio back. And inevitably, eventually the clerk sold the radio, and she wanted basically wanted to be compensated for her radio, and the clerk wasn't hearing it. So she bought her son, James Stevenson, who was a World War II vet. He was in the Navy and he served in the Pacific Theater. She brought her son to get her money, and a scuffle broke out between her son and the clerk, resulting in glass being broken, front glass that is, and of course this was the white part of town, so the law, and everyone sided with the white person. Now, they were arrested, both her and her son, but they didn't serve any significant jail time. They pretty much got a slap on the wrist, and they were home that night. The father of the clerk didn't take too kind to that, so he was riling up all the white people in the white side of town, and the sheriff sent 4 police officers to Mink Slide for whatever reason. And the blacks there didn't want to let them in. As a result, shots rang out, and all 4 police officers were wounded. And as a result of this, the sheriff got the police and all the white folks there, and they went terrorizing the blacks in Mink Slide. They shot up several shots. They stole cash, and I'm assuming other goods. They basically looted the shops. And there were a lot of black people who were defending their shops and their homes in their town on rooftop, and many of them did so successfully. Now, the National Guard had to be brought in to quell the situation. Now, and this is basically what we've come to call the Columbia race riots. Now, I'm not going to go any further into this. If you want to find out about the Mink Slide and the Columbia race riots, you can go online and do any research you want. And of course, Mink Slide is where Tariq Nigga Please get his name of his little group with the song It's Time, and I guess it's time to race hustle, because that's all he does. But anyway, I will ask the question of this incident, the same thing I would do with any other incident of historical crime. What is it relevant? What's the relevancy of this? How is this relevant today? What black person in America today can achieve their goals in life because of this incident? How exactly is that black high school senior that wants to be an engineer being held back from being an engineer because of this? What black person living in Columbia, Tennessee today is being held back from achieving their goals in life because of this incident? Well, the obvious answer to that question is nobody. which makes this absolutely irrelevant and nonsense for black people to keep drumming this foolishness up. Now, I'm not saying, and I've never ever advocated for forgetting history. You've never heard me say that. But I also don't advocate for living in the past. And for some reason, brainwashed blacks keep allowing these race hustlers to keep them living in the past. And like I say, these race hustlers, they keep crying about, you know, this the Columbia race riot, right? Which is not happening today. It's not affecting anybody today. They keep crying about Mink Slide, right? But meanwhile, you hear none of them talking about nigger slide, which is impacting black people today. And there's nigger slides everywhere. So anyway, if you ever hear any of these race hustlers talk about Mink Slide or the Columbia race riots, well, pretty much this is a story. So, and and basically, if they do, you'll be able to defend it. You can render it nonsense by asking them to explain how is this relevant to anything, and obviously it's not. So anyway, if you ever hear Mink Slide or the Columbia race riots, well, now you know, and knowing it's half the battle. And as always, y'all, thank y'all for watching.